with you. I am Jeanette. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so we can go ahead and get started. So you should see my screen now.
Yep.
And let me get rid of some of these so I don't have internet connection problems. The more things that you use, the more bandwidth it uses. Okay, let me jump over to our activity page and oops, there we go. Okay. All right. So this is it. This is a new software for YBLive. And this year, I'm going to go ahead and close out my video just so things are, my mug is not in the way of things here. If I can figure out how to do it, give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Okay, there we are. Okay, so this is our fresh new look for YBLive this year. And as you can see, it looks completely different than in years past, but it has a lot of the same functionality. So let me just show you where you can find everything here. When you log into your book, again, you're going to log in to the same place where you would normally go into, which is www.yblive.net. And then you're going to select the yearbook staff, and that's where you're going to put in your credentials to log in, and it's going to land you right here in your activity overview page. Over here on the top, you're going to see it's split into 3 sections. The on my book, where you're going to actually design your pages. The photos, work on my photos, is where you're going to upload your portraits, not your portraits, your candids. You can upload clip art, and we'll dive into all these a little deeper in just a bit. And your portraits, as always, we can always upload them for you. So all you have to do is flow them into your pages. Then the manage my book section will be for your advisors. And this is where you can set up your users. You can set up yearbook looks if you wanted to do that. Next to that, we're going to see here the preview button to preview the book. And then we the left and the right hand side, and you're going to see the yearbook specs. This was added this year. So a nice little feature, just letting you know if your storefront has been activated or not. If you don't have a storefront, that's not going to show up. To get a storefront set up, we will need for you to fill out our storefront form. And that will be, if you're watching this on a recorded version of it, I'm going to include it in the description box below, so you can click on that link. Otherwise, I can go ahead and email it to you guys. So the yearbook specs are going to be listed right here. If you have any changes to this, especially on the amount of books that you're receiving, it's important that you let us know before you submit for printing. It's pretty automated, so as soon as you submit, it will go right into production, and whatever book quantity is there, it's going to be the one that it's going to be listed here. This particular demo book does not have a quantity listed, but typically that's what you will see right down here is how many books you are receiving. Okay. And then we have here in the middle, we have the progress monitor thermometers. You can see where the book the pages and the cover stands at any given time. Underneath that, you're going to see the coverage based on how many candidates, or not how many, based on your candidates and your portraits that have been uploaded, and it's going to let you know how many have been used, how many have not. So this is kind of a good way to see how much coverage you have had for everybody, and specifically for the portraits, because this way, you know, if you have 427 that have not been flowed, then you know you need to go back and check out what's going on. That means that there's 427 students that have not made it into the yearbook. So you definitely want to check that out. You can always export a report by clicking this little button right here. Then we have our calendar here, and you can put in any kind of events going on throughout the year, perhaps picture day, just to make sure you have coverage for photos throughout all of your events throughout the year. Underneath that, you're going to see your activity overview, and that's going to be letting you know who has logged in and what events have gone on when they've gone into those particular sections. And then you have our support information, which will be right here. If you want to contact us, you can also call us at, if you rather contact us via telephone, you can call us at 888-680-0143. Okay, and you will see that information right here as well. So you can always contact us if you have any questions. There's also the help and the video help option that you see right up here, and that will also guide you to our help menu. It is page specific, so it will be when you click it, it will be directing you to the help specifically to the whatever page you're in. All right. On the left-hand side, we have here other options to log into, or not log, but go into different sections of the book, which are pretty much the same ones that you see here. So let's just go over that right quick. Here we have the Yearbook Live option, and when you hover over all of these icons, you're going to see what they do. So it's really not a guessing game. Under photos, you're going to be able to upload your photos, and this is equivalent to the work on my photos option. Then we have the users to set up any users in the book. We have a breakdown here of all the sales. Let's go ahead and jump into that right now. And that's going to list, it's going to give you a report of your online sales. It's going to have how much has been made. It's going to list the items or the products that you are offering on the storefront. So just so you know what the storefront offers is, or what you can offer in your storefront is, you can sell yearbooks. You can set it up to sell recognition ads where parents can purchase and design recognition ads for their student, and it will show up on your end, and I'll show you that in just a bit. And all you have to do is place them on the pages. And then it also has the option to share images. So if you want to collect photos from your community of events going on throughout the year, that's a great way to collect photos as well. All right, and then here on their details, it's going to have a breakdown of all the different items. If you click on order report, it's going to have a breakdown of who has purchased what. You can export this as an Excel file or a PDF. You can export it for distribution purposes. That's a great idea to do that. And if you have any offline orders, so if you're selling cash and check sales, if you're taking cash and check sales through the school, you can also keep track of those right here. That way you keep track of all of your sales in one spot. Just click add offline sales, and then you're going to put in all the information necessary there, and then click OK, and you'll be ready to roll. It will keep adding that amount of money there. So that's a great way to, if you are going to use that order report for distribution purposes, you can keep track of all of your offline sales as well. All right. So let's go now then to the configure options here at the bottom. And this is going to let you narrow down, if you choose to do so, on the different themes, backgrounds, fonts, clip art elements, and modify the page numbering if you wish. And this is really great for anybody that has a large group working on a book. If you want to select a theme and stick with just that one, you can always uncheck any of these like so. And that means that they won't be available. When you click on them, you will be able to view what they look like. So if you don't want to perhaps use this theme, you can uncheck it and it won't be available to you. Okay. You can always uncheck all and then check them individually. That's entirely up to you. This here, high school, middle, and elementary, just kind of breaks down our themes by those levels, if you will. So if the high school one, you'll notice that it's a little more sophisticated, if you will. The middle school is a little more kiddish, and depending on which one you select, and then the elementary school, again, it gets a little more childish, for lack of a better word, just more elementary like. Okay. So that is your themes there. You can do the same thing for backgrounds, for fonts as well. You can narrow down your fonts. You can narrow down your clip art and your elements. Clip art and elements are pretty much the same things, but you can narrow it down by theme. And then finally, we have the page number. This is a great feature because you can control where the page number is on the page. So that way, if you are designing a page that you want the page numbering to be a little lower, you can always make those changes. You can adjust the font style, the page number styles. You can have it outlined or not, and then you can click update. Keep in mind that in order to change changes to the page numbers, all of your yearbook sections have to be checked in. Nobody can be working on them because it's going to update all of the page numbering throughout the book. So it needs all of the sections checked in. And I'll show you a little more what I mean by that when we go to the yearbook ladder. If you are new to the program, you might not necessarily know what I'm talking about, but it will make sense in just a little bit. All right, so let's jump over now then to users. And this is where we're going to set up our people that are going to be helping the book. This is how you're going to give them access. You're just going to click here on add user. You're going to give them you're going to use their email address as a login ID, put in first and last name. You will create a password for them. And then here you will confirm it. And then you're going to assign them a role. And depending on the role, they will have different permissions, right? So here it will have a breakdown, and you will see this, by the way, throughout the book, that a lot of times when you start doing any kind of functionalities, it will walk you through, it will give you a little bit of instructions along the way, so making the program a little easier to maneuver. So that's always a nice feature for the program as well. So here you're going to have a drop-down menu to select what permissions you want to give that specific user, and then click OK. You will have to share the password, all the login credentials with your team members, because the program does not generate any kind of email letting them know that a password has been set up and what it is, or an account. So you will need to share that information with them. All right, so let's go then. We are kind of working backwards here. Now we're going to jump over to photos. And now we're going to go to the candidates. This is where you're going to upload the portrait, the candidates, meaning the photos that you take throughout the year of all the different events going on in this school. You can keep yourself organized by creating different folders. You can set up these folders here by clicking on new folder, by event, by teacher, whatever is going to make it the easiest for you to find when you're designing your pages. So I recommend that you create a folder kind of based on how you're going to lay out your ladder, your yearbook ladder, meaning what events you're going to have in what pages. So if you're going to have pages, for example, 2 through 4 on field day, then create a folder called field day. That way, you drop all of your pictures there, and it will be easy to find and put into your pages. Once your folder is created, you can click here, the little upload button. And now, again, you're going to have instructions on what to do. It will tell you to click the add files button, or you can click and drag your images to this area and it will start uploading. All right, so let me zoom out of there. Once they are uploaded, they're going to show up here like you see these images. If it has a little checkbox next to it, it means, or not next to it, but here on the upper left-hand side, it means that it has been used in the book. And you hover over it, it's going to tell you the page number where you can find that. You can do all the different functionalities here that are pretty easy to figure out. You can copy them. You can move it to a different folder if you need to. Let's say you upload it to the wrong folder, delete them. You can edit your images. Oh, I got to select one first. And you will select it by clicking here, the little checkbox. Then you can edit it. And now here you will have the different adjustments that you can do with it. You can rotate it. You can adjust the brightness and contrast, sharpen it, play around with the different effects here. All right, so you can play around with all those different options. When we go to the page, you can also have the option to edit your photos. So a lot of times we want different ideas when we're designing, and we want to perhaps give it a sepia look to it, like this one. And then when you click on it, it will give you a little breakdown of what it actually offers. So this one will change the color to the pumpkin spice. This is dark sepia. So it's got a lot of fun little features like that. You can save it and it will save as a new photo for you. Or you can just cancel and you can go right back to where you started. You can also export your candids. So a lot of times, if you schools create an end of year CD, well, it used to be CD. I don't even know what they do anymore. They would compile images to create a kind of a slideshow of the entire year for usually like the upper grades, or just for all the kids to enjoy. They can always export your images, or you can always export your images from here if you want to use up any of the ones that have been shared with you. Okay. All right, so that takes care of your candidates. Let's go ahead and close that out. Then we have here our portraits. So portraits, like I mentioned earlier, we are more than happy to upload them for you. However, if you want to upload them yourself, you are more than welcome to do that. And you would do that here in the portrait section. Just so you are aware, when we say we will upload them for you, what we request is you share your usually your photographer, let me back up. Your photographer should provide you with an email with an link to the online portal where your portraits will be located. That online link will also have a portrait database, and that database will have all of your students and staff members by first, last name, grade, teacher, and then of course the image that belongs to that person. The software uses that database to automatically create these folders for you by teacher or by grade. Okay. And again, it's pulling information from that database. So we're really relying on the photographer to provide that for us. And this is an photography industry standard that they provide this information with school portraits. So it isn't anything software specific that they shouldn't be aware of. Usually the most school photographers are aware of this. However, if you need instructions to provide to them to create this index database, we're more than happy to provide that as well. All right, so let me go ahead and show you how you would go about uploading them. And you will do that here by clicking here, YBLive. Under Portrait Import is where you would start. And then you're going to have instructions on how to do that here. And we're going to click here on Browse. And I have a new computer, and I don't even know if I have portraits downloaded here yet. So I apologize for that. Let me see if I have them here. Oh, here we go. Okay, perfect. So these are here my portraits. It's going to ask you to look for your portraits. And this right here, this index.txt file, that is the database file that I am referring to. I see it there. You don't have to click on it as long as you go to the folder where that index file is. That's all you need. Then you're going to click here on upload. It's going to let you know that it's going to be uploading 412 images. And now it's going to pull up the portrait, the define index layout options. So you're going to tell it where to pull those pictures from. So the image folder is going to be this one right here. This is where all of your images are. So we're going to go ahead and select column 2. This here is the file name, which is right here in column 3. Then we have the grade on column 4. And here we have, This is a last name, column 5. And then we have a first name in column 6. If we had a teacher, it would be in another column over here. This particular one does not. So I'm not going to even worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and leave it blank. If you have a student or a few students here on top that you can't tell which one is the last name or the first name, let's say like Anderson Cooper, for example, you can scroll down to keep going down your list so you can figure that out. Okay. Like this one, for example, you know that Mark is probably his first name and then Douglas is his last. All right. Then you're going to let it know how you want them sorted. So here it's telling you what it's asking you to select which folder you want to set up for, either by grade, homeroom, or teacher name. I'm going to go ahead and select on grade because I don't have a teacher name to pull from. If you wanted to do grade and teacher, you can do a second folder key number here, and you can select. And then what it would do is it would create a folder for the grade / teacher name. Okay. And then you're going to click on next and it will start uploading for you. I am not going to upload anything here because 412 might take a bit, and it's a rather quick process. It takes about, well, it really depends on how fast your internet speed is, how many students you have, how large your images are. So it varies, but it can take up to 10 minutes. So I don't want to waste y'all's time. So once they're uploaded, they're going to show up like you see here. And like I said, these are going to be created automatically. And then you can go to each different folder and make any changes if you need to. Let's say you need to correct the spelling of somebody's name. You can click here, the little select button, or no, I'm sorry, the little info button. Where is my little info button? Here we go. Okay, the little preview button, it used to have an eye for information. Now it's got a little eyeball for a preview. So this will let you make any changes to the name. Whatever name you put here in caption is going to be the name that's going to show up. So be mindful of how it's laid out. So here you can see that we have last name, comma, first. You can keep going through all of them and check that. You can arrow down, keep arrowing to the next one like so. All right. And then if you need to make any changes, let's say Amanda goes by Mandy. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Like so, then we can just go ahead and make changes to it. Okay. And then it will automatically resort it for you. Where'd she go? There she is, Mandy Jones. Okay. And it will resort it in alphabetical order for you. If you need to move them to a separate, to a different folder, let's say they belong in a different class, you can select it and then click here, the little move icon, and then you will have the drop-down option to change the folder you want to move them to, and then click OK, and it will move them over for you. Okay. If they had been flowed into the page, they have the little checkbox as well, just like they did in Candids. All right. So this is one way to check to ensure that all of your students have been inserted on the page. The number one here, as you can see, this lets you know that this particular person is going to be flowed. A lot of times this happens when you are setting somebody up as a teacher. If you want your teachers to flow before the students, you're going to make them a teacher, quote unquote teacher, and that will be by clicking on the preview button and then checking the little checkbox here under teacher portraits. And then you can give them a priority. So let's say you have 2 teachers. Let's say you have a teacher and a helper or a paraprofessional, something like that. You can maybe put the teacher 1 and then the para can, and then that will flow the paraprofessional after the teacher. Okay, so that is how you identify the teachers, or if you have a staff group and you want the principal and assistant principal to flow first, you can always use those options as well. All right, next we're going to jump over to photo post. Wait, one more thing in portraits. After we upload all of your portraits, if you have somebody that came in mid-year, or perhaps missed picture day. You can upload a individual by clicking here, the little upload button, just like we would in Candids. Click here to add files, or click, excuse me, and drag them over here, and it will show up like you see all of these images here. One thing to keep in mind is when you upload an image, it's going to automatically create the caption for the student name, whatever the file is called. So if the file is called 001.jpg, you're going to want to make sure you click this little preview icon to change that caption, okay? And put in the correct student name. That's where you would make those changes. I'm checking here to see if I find any of that. And it doesn't look like we have anything, but you get the idea. Yeah. So anyway, so just make sure that you make changes to the caption so you can have the correct name. All right, now we can move on. Now we can go to photo post, and this is where your images that have been shared from your community, this is where they're going to be stored until you move them over to Candids. They do need to be moved over to Candids in order to use them in your book. So you can select them, and now you can click the little move icon, and now you have the option to move them to your Candids folder. Click the drop down here to select the folder you want to move it to, or you can move them to a portrait folder if you want. 99% of the time, you're going to put them in Candids. Portrait folders really came about during COVID when a lot of students were not homeschooling, but they were, they were schooling at home. They submitted their portraits as selfies. So that need had us create this so they can share their selfie photos, but most of the time you will be putting them into the Candids, and then just click OK, and then it will move them over for you. Okay. Again, you can create different folders here. So when parents are uploading, they can select those folders to move it to, or not to move it to upload it to. They will only be able to see things that they upload themselves. So it's not like they'll be able to see all of this. Only you as the advisor will be able to see that. Then we have here the Google Drive option. So if you have any photos in your Google Drive that you are the owner of, and have the login information, you can click on this and it will connect to your Google Drive. And then you can copy photos over to Candids just like we did in Photo Post. And then finally, we have clip art, and that is just that. If you want to upload your own clip art, you can create different folders to do that and upload your images by clicking here, the little upload button, and then click and drag it, or click on add files to insert images there. Okay. All right, that takes care of our photos. So now we're finally going to jump over to our yearbook ladder option. And this is where you're going to start creating your pages. Depending on how your book is set up, you might have, when you go into your ladder, you might have a book with only one section, which will be the cover section. Or you might have, from previous years, you might have the actual layout of all of your sections. Either way, you can modify them. If you need to add any more sections, you can definitely do that. Click here on New Section, give it a section name, select here the number of pages you want for that section. Let's go ahead and create one now. New section. And let's give it 10 pages. You can always make changes to this if you need to. You can put a due date. You can do a color code. You can color code them. You don't have to. This here will be for the themes that we offer. So if you want to create that section with this specific theme in mind, you can definitely do that. Here, this one is artistry. You can click the drop-down menu here to select which one you want to use. And then what will happen is it will create all of your pages with these themes already created, with these layouts already done. You can modify them. Sorry about that. Like I said, I have a new computer, and it's whenever I slide my mouse back and forth, not my mouse, my fingers on the keypad, it takes me to the previous section. or to the previous page, and I'm just not used to that motion. So sorry. Okay, let's start again. 10 pages. And like I said, you can choose a theme if you want to. They're all customizable. So just because you have the 80s theme doesn't mean you need to use it exactly as is. You can modify it if you need to, or you can click here on none and start with a blank slate. Then we're going to click OK. And now we have our section set up here. Okay, we can move it to different spots on the page, and of course it will renumber your page numbering for you right here. And then you're going to see the different icons here of the different functionalities of each section. You can click here to see the information on each different section. This one so far has only been created, so there's really nothing going on there. And I moved it from one place to another, so it has that activity going there. Then it will have a preview option here that you can preview your section, or actually it will let you preview the entire book at this point. Okay, you just arrow back and forth. The next one over, it's going to be the settings option. So if you need to make any changes to your section, you can come over here to do that. Here under settings is where you would be able to change the section name. You can change the amount of pages that you're using. You can also assign it to different users. If you have already set up your users, you can assign it to each different user by checking the little checkbox, and that will make it available for that user to be able to design. They will be able to view all of them, but they will only be able to design the ones that you give them access to if you go ahead and check them on each different section here as you go along. Okay. Then we have the organized pages. If you need to move pages around within a section, you can click here to pages and then click and drag and move them around like so. And again, you're going to have those instructions right here letting you know what to do. So if you don't remember any of this, you will, I'm sure, going to figure it out, because it does walk you through a lot of the information along the way. When you have it the way you want it, you just click OK, and then it will save your changes for you. We also have the option to split the section. Keep in mind that only one person can be in a section at a time. So if you have a group working on your pages and perhaps they want to work on this section, 2 people want to work on this section, what you can do is you can split it and perhaps have them work on the first 5 pages, and then the other user can be working on the other pages, something to that effect, right? But if you need to split it, it will tell you right here, where do you want to split the section? This is going to be the first page of your new section. You can select it. You'll see the little yellow, and then we're going to click OK. And now we can see we have a new section and a new section split. It's going to name it by that. So now we have here, this one's 3 pages. This one's 7. Okay. The other thing that you can do when you are done with that, you can merge them. So let's say your users are done designing those 2 sections that they worked on. You want to merge them again, you can merge down, and it will confirm that that's what you want to do. And then now we have our 10-page section together again. You can duplicate it and delete it if you want to. Okay. Then we have here the little edit option. Let me get rid of that. Hold on. Oh, come on. All right, it's not going away for me. So we have the little edit pencil. That's where you're going to go to if you need to edit your pages. Then we have here to mark it complete when you're ready to start the submit process. This is going to be your first step. And this one here is your PDF proof option. We always recommend to create a PDF proof. You can make it anytime that you wish. You can do it along as you're designing, or you can wait and do it right before you submit your book for printing. You can select all of the sections if you want. You can select just the one. It's entirely up to you. And just click OK, and it will start generating a new section on a separate web page. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go into our new section here. I'm going to click the little edit pencil, and now we can start designing. So when you are on the pages, you're going to see your different design elements here that you can choose from. We have themes available. So if you didn't choose a theme when you started, but let's say you want to go ahead and use some of those layouts that you saw, you can do so by just clicking and dragging it over like so. Let's say you want maybe artistry here, and maybe the next one over, you want this one over here. And you want to make changes to it, you can definitely modify it as you wish. Okay. It will have here the same categories that were available that you can pick and choose from.
Side note on themes, while you're looking at the drop down here on all the different themes that are available or through the art guide, take a look at our special pages as well. There are some unique layouts here that you might make use of. This is the About Me. There's one already created for baby pictures. If we go to the special varieties, there are some for superlatives and a little more decorated. Of course, you can modify any of these as needed.
So the themes will be available there. You have layouts. It's exactly that. It's a template of a page. It's the way the page is laid out. You're going to see all the different categories here. Okay, you can select it and then click and drag it over. Keep in mind that your layout is going to replace whatever you already have on the page. So when I clicked and dragged that one, it got rid of that large photo box and it gave me a bunch of little different ones. Okay, you can, once you have your layout, you can insert a different background if you want. Again, you're going to see the different categories, and some of them are going to have subcategories to them. So let's see what Doodle's got to offer. And then it's just a matter of clicking and dragging it over like so. Okay, and if you change your mind, you can click and drag, click and drag another one. Okay, like that. Then we have here our candid. So when we're ready to insert images, we're going to go ahead and go to our candid section. Now we're going to go to our folder that we're going to pull the photos from. And you have a couple of ways to put your photos on the page. You can click and drag them to each individual photo box, or you can use the autofill option. And that is sitting right here on the top. And when you click on that, it will ask you whether you want to replace your existing photos or only fill in the empty photo frames. Select which one you want, click OK, and then it will insert all of the candid images in that folder there for you. Of course, you can always make any changes that you want. If you have used an image on any of the other pages, it's going to have the little checkbox here letting you know that it's used somewhere else. So that's how you can check here on the page itself or on the design section, how if a page has been used or not. Once the image is on the page, you can select it, and you have all of these different options here to modify it. You can crop it. You can click here to give it borders, to create a drop shadow. You can change the edge effects here. You'll have different types available. Like so, when you click on it, it's going to give you a little preview of what it's going to look like. So you can always see what that image is going to look like with these different settings. You can, like I said, select different categories like so. Okay. And then obviously you can make changes once it's set up, and you can always apply that setting to just that text, to just that photo box, or to all of the photo boxes on the page. And if so, then you can check here this little checkbox that says apply these settings to all the images on the page, and then click done, and it will make that change for you. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel for now. This will be here to flip and rotate it. You can colorize your image. So for photos is not that impressive, but let me show you what that is, because it will come into play with clip art, and you can colorize the background and things like that. So if we click here on colorize, what will happen is it will open up the color picker, and you can come over here and select a different color. If you have the color values, the RGB or the CMYK values, you can input them here. You can Also select one of the images here from, not one of the images, one of the color swatches from here, or you can pull from the design itself with the eyedropper, pull one of the colors. So if we, and you will have those instructions here as well, okay? So this is letting us know, you click the dropper, and now see when I'm hovering over the blue, it's picking up the blue from that image. If I hover it over the pom-poms, then it's picking up the red on the pom-poms there. I can save that by clicking here on my little bucket and then selecting a swatch box. If this is our demo book, so they're all filled, but you always, when you go into your book, you're going to see them empty. You can always save over another if you run out of space. So there's always that too. Okay. And then when you are done, you can click on OK and it will colorize it for you. This is kind of a cool idea if you're using a image as an introductory page to a section of the books, for example. It's just an artsy little thing to do with your images. The next one we have here, effects. And again, this is what we talked about in the photo section. So if you wanted to make any adjustments here, you can play around with those options. Okay, you can rotate it. Actually, hold on a second. Let's get out of this. You can rotate it by clicking the little flip and rotate button right here, not in the place that I was talking about, not in the wizard wand. Okay, this is just for effects. This is to get rid of the image. You have the option to delete the frame or just clear the image and keep the photo box. And then you'll have the more icon over here. And when you click on this, depending on what design element you have selected, these options are going to change. For images, you have the option to duplicate it, lock it into place, fill the page. So fill the page is kind of a cool one. You can essentially create a background with any of your pictures by clicking fill the page option. On a spread, you have the option to fill the entire spread or just the page itself. And you can click here, fill page, and send to back. And now what happens is it's a background there for you. So I know it's hard to see, but let's move this out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, like so, okay? And it becomes perfectly aligned to your page. So what I always say, if you are going to use this, then be sure to take advantage of the lock tool right here. That way, if you were to click and drag to select various images here, you wouldn't necessarily by mistake grab the background too. If I don't have it locked, what could very easily happen is I could move it like that. And maybe I don't mean to, but it moves. It's just a photo box. But if you lock it into place, it's going to stay put. Okay. So we have fill the page. This is to play around with the layering. You can bring it forward. You can send it backwards. Align a page to the center is if you wanted to align it in the middle of a photo in the middle of a page, you can definitely do that. You can play around with the transparency of it. Click on transparency and you can play with a percentage of it like so. Okay. And it looks greenish because it's got that green background back there. So, this will give you the image information, and this is to fill the fill option. So that is your photos there. We're going to go to portraits in just a little bit. Clip art and elements work very similar and pretty much the same way. It's going to be by different folders. You can access our art guide through, let me go ahead and show you where that is. In our YearbookLife.com page, you're going to find a customer page. And we're going to go to it, and we're going to go here to the YBLive customers because we're using YBLive. And then we're going to go here to our PDF manuals. And it's going to list all of our user guides, the content guide, that is our art guide right there. And it's going to list all of our art that we have to offer. It will have all of the different categories available. It takes a minute, especially when I want to zoom. So give me 1 second and then you'll see it. It will have all of our themes, all of our fonts. So you can always find the category that you will find it in. That way you don't have to keep going through all the different categories to see what's available. You can always access it here in the art guide, okay? So like so, okay? And I will include a link to this as well in the recording in our YouTube channel, okay? And so that will be here for our clip art, and it's just a matter of clicking and dragging your clip art over like so. Now you can resize it. You can rotate it, colorize it. Again, you can get rid of it. And then here in the options change a little bit. You can lock it into place, play around with the layering, create a drop shadow for it. Okay. Elements is very much like a clip art. Anything that you see that is black or gray like this, mean that that is a colorable item. So when you first drag it into your page, it's going to be black or gray, but then you can come over here to the little colorize tool, and this is when it becomes more usable, I guess. You can change the color, you can use one from the color picker, or you can select one of the swatches or one of your previous saved ones. Like so, select it, click OK, and then it will make that bus yellow for you, okay? You can get rid of it, and then again, you can click the more option to play around with all these different options here. All right, all of our layouts are customizable. So if you make any changes, you can always save it. And this is where they're going to be stored under saved layouts, okay? So with that being said, let me go to all of our options here on the top. So this is going to be to navigate through, no, not navigate, I lied. This is to undo any of your actions. So if you want to undo anything, you can click these two. This will be to redo. This will be to enlarge your layout, make it a little bigger if you want to zoom in a little bit more, okay? This will be to add an image frame. So if you want to add a photo box, you can either copy and paste one that's already on your page, or you can click here with the little add image frame right there. Now we have our image box right there. This will be to insert a text box. So if we have a text box on your layout, you can simply select it and then go to the T for text to start typing, or you can click the little text box here and it will pop up a new text box. And you can, let me create some space here. I'm just clicking and dragging my mouse to delete all that stuff, and I'm going to insert a text box. And I can go here to the T for text to type my content. I can change the font style, change the sizing of it. This will only go up to 72, but if you click here on these three little dots, you're going to see the option to make it bigger. So let's say we want 100. We're going to go ahead and click apply. It's going to give you a little preview of what it's going to look like here. You can play around with the bolding option, bold, underline, the placement of it if you want to center it or justify to the left or right. And like I said, these little icons here are pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so you can apply it to just this text box, or you can apply it to all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and just click apply it to that. Now I do want to show you if you have any warnings on your page, such as this one, if your content does not fit on your text box, it's going to give you that little warning signal right there. And that will let you know that you will need to either resize your text box, or you will need to change the sizing of your font letters or your font style. And it looks like, did I put yearbooks? Okay, there we go. That's why. Okay, so I can change the sizing of it, maybe make it a little bit smaller. Whoops. Let's make it 80. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, like so. All right. The next little icon over is where you're going to be able to change the color. You can give it a border. You can change the color again. You can use the color picker to pick a different color. You can play around with a fill transparency. You can create shadow. Let's go ahead and click OK to this, and you will see a little preview of what it's going to look like there. See, as I start making changes, it will start giving me those options. Again, you can apply it to all or just the one. Another that you can do here is you can rotate it, you can delete it, and then again, you can click a little drop down arrow to play around with the layering, duplicate it, etc. Okay. One cool feature, let me go back to our candidates here. All of our images, no, not all of our images, all of our fonts will let you put in a photo inside them. So if you wanted to get creative and put one of your images here, you can click and drop it here to your text box. And now you see that that becomes the background of your font style. So that instead of that color, it's going to be the fill of it. And it works better with some pictures better than others, just like it works better with some font styles or font sizes better than others. But it is a cool way to just jazz up your book if you wanted to make any changes like that. Okay. All right, so that is your font. Now we have here is shapes, and shapes, when you click on it, it's going to have you select what shape you want to insert. You can modify it. Again, it's going to give you a little preview of it there. You can put a border, you can create the color fill, you can play around with the drop shadow, and then when you're done, it's going to, you click on done and it's going to insert that shape there for you. Okay. This will be to navigate through your pages in your book. If you want to insert a grid, you can show that here. You can click on grid and select the size of it. You can, if you don't want it showing up, you don't have to. You can always take it off. You can, let's click here on show grid. There we go. And then if you don't want it, then we can just take that off. Then we have here the flip layout. So the flip layout works a couple of different ways. So if you wanted to move, let's say, your images from this side to this side here without having to click and drag them, you have the option to flip your layout. If you click here on flip layout, you have the option to either do the left page or the right page, or you can flip the layout on both pages. If I do it on both pages, it will put this page over here and vice versa. So I'm going to click OK. And then it's going to flip it there for me. If I do the flip layout on the right-hand page, it will place these images that were here are going to place over here like so. Okay. The next one is your save layout. So like I mentioned, if you make any changes to our layouts and you want to save it to use throughout your book, you can click here on save layout. It will ask you whether you want to save the right or the left or both sides. Then you can click OK. You can create different categories for each one. And then it will save it here to the save layouts option. And then we have our background. Here you can colorize your background. If you want to make changes to the color, you can click together. You can, let's go ahead and clear it. I want to show how you can, clear background. There we go. So let's say we want just a plain solid background. We can click here on background and we can colorize it. So this here too is where we can use all of our neat little colors here on our color wheel and click OK. And now we'll make your background that color. Okay. The last one that we have here is your preview button, and this is going to let you preview the book. Starting on that section, you can always navigate through other different sections by clicking the little arrow back and forth. Okay. All right. So last thing I got to show you is, how are we doing with time? I know it takes a minute, right? So hold on, let's go to the next page. And I will try to make this quick. So the next one is how to insert your portraits. And you will do that by going here to your portraits section on the left-hand side, and you're going to use your portrait wizard in order to flow your portrait. So you're going to click here on portrait wizard, and now it's going to give you instructions on what you need to do next. What it's asking you to do is to insert the folders from your left-hand side to the right. And these are the folders that you're going to insert on the page. These are folders that come from that index database in the portrait section under photos, right? So whatever order you have these in is the order that it's going to flow. So if you want 10th grade to be flowed last, then you want to go ahead and move that around. You can shift it however you want that set up. When you have it the way you want it, you can click here on Portrait Wizard. And now it's going to open up your portrait wizard and let you make any changes. If you have any saved settings, you can apply them if you wish by clicking here the drop down arrow and select any of the ones that have been saved in the past. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that just so we can see what it looks like from scratch. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to click on apply to page, and that's going to show you a preview of your page with the portrait settings like you see right here. It's going to be a 4x4. You can make all the modifications that you wish, and depending on how many students you want to fit on the page, okay, you can make those changes. That doesn't look very good. Let's do this. Let's say we're flowing a bunch of students. You can give it a margin. If you wanted to put in a header there, you can do that. You can play around with it in size, in the gap in between the portrait boxes. Okay, you can insert a teacher frame. So if you wanted to do that, you can click here on 1 for teacher. If you had 2, you can do 2 like that. If the teacher is in that same folder, you want to make sure you check this little box on, so it can insert, it knows that the first 2 are going to be teachers. So you want to keep that in mind. Then we have here our text settings. This is going to be how our names appear. If you want to put a header, this is going to be the font style and size of it. The header is going to have the content of that header here. Let's say we want to put first grade. We can go ahead and do that. And then we have here the name, how the names appear. We can go ahead and make changes depending on your font style. You can see here we're getting warnings letting us know that it's not fitting. So you can either resize it, right? But if it gets way too tiny, you can always make changes to the positioning of the name. You can put it maybe on the center. You can maybe put it on 2 lines so it'll fit better. So you can kind of play around with those options. If we see this little warning signal right here, this is because the page number is right over that student name right there. So this is why I mentioned at the beginning that it's a great idea that you can modify where the page number falls, because if you have something like this, you can always change that. So it's lower if you wanted to. You can also play around with the margins, maybe give it a margin on the bottom like so, okay? Then we have here the flow settings. Under flow settings, you're going to select, if you have multiple folders that you're flowing, you're going to select where you want the next folder to go. Do you want it on the next line? Do you want it to be the next image? Or do you want it on the next page? Okay, so select that. Then you're going to select what place, how do you want the partial rows, any row that is not completely filled, where do you want to display it? Do you want it on the right? Do you want it on the left? Do you want it in the middle? Then we got display empty portrait frames. That's up to you. I always say leave it on yes, so you know how many empty frames you have available. If you don't have an image there, it's not going to show up anyways, but it's always good to have kind of a go by. And then this little checkbox right here, keep non-portrait elements. If you have designed a page before you started flowing, let's say we added some clip art or we added a text box to this page, you want to make sure you click that on. because otherwise what will happen is it will get rid of any kind of non-portrait information that's there. It will get rid of any kind of design element. So in order to keep it, make sure you click that on. If you want to save your settings, you can do that here under Save Settings, give it a settings name. Like let's say you wanted to name it first grade. You can type up first grade and then click OK, and then you'll have the option to select any one of those here that you have saved in the past. And it will show up here when you select it, okay? So that is our first page of our flow. The next one is going to be here. You want to keep on going to the following pages to keep on flowing your portraits, okay? And you're going to click on the next page, and you're going to click on Apply to Page. And it's doing a different setting because I chose that 12th grade setting thing. So let me go ahead and apply that. Yeah. So the one that I chose, which was the saved one for 12th grade, had a different setup. Okay. Go to the next page and keep on going. Okay. Again, next page, apply it. You're going to have the information of how many images, how many portraits you have, how many folders, how many pages you're going to need to flow all of these portraits with the portrait settings that you have selected here. Okay, so as soon as I make changes to this, this is going to change as well because I can obviously fit more students. If I were to put that in 7, now it's letting me know that I have that I will need 7 pages instead of 11, like it said earlier. Okay. Again, you're going to keep on going till you have them all in your page. And then when you are done, you're going to click OK. It's going to, if you have any warnings on your pages, it's going to let you know that. And this is letting us know about the overlapping page numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. It's going to give you the option to save your settings. I'm going to go ahead and just click on No. And then we are back to our page here. Okay, and then we're ready to keep designing. We can just check here our photos. And that's about it. If you have questions along the way, you can always contact me at or contact our tech support team at 888-680-0143, and we'll be more than happy to help you. You can always also contact us via email at YBLive at YearbookLife.com. Yes. But as of right now, do you have any questions for me? I know this has been a lengthy one. We're going over to 1 hour and 8 minutes now. Do you have any questions for me? You can either type them in the little chat box, or you can mute yourself.
So far, so good on my end.
Okay. All right. So if you don't have any questions, oh, one last thing. Sorry. You do want to click here, this little option here. It does save as you go along. However, if you were to click here, cancel and exit, it would not save any of your changes. You do always want to click save and exit, because what that does is it checks your section back in. This is here giving me a warning because there are warnings on the page. So it will always do that when you leave your section and when you enter your section. Have all of your warnings listed there. And then you're also going to see them here in the little info section. If you have any warnings on your page, you're going to have that listed right there. And you're going to see it in that little red you see right there. Okay. And like, for example, when you don't check one in, it's this like showing up like this one right here. See how it's got that little lock right there instead of the little edit pencil? That is because somebody has it checked out. So if you don't check, it will just assume that it's still checked out, whether there's somebody there working on it or not. You can always see who has checked it out, because when you select it, it will have that information here, checked out by Lisa at YearbookLife. If you're an admin of the book, you can do a forced check-in by clicking here, but that's not available for everybody, only the admins. So if you have a user and they want to try to go into that section to make any changes, they won't be able to. All right, now I'm done. All right, so if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to call or contact us via email. We will be happy to help you. And thank you very much for joining me.